Damn, did that thing cut out for you too? The intro?
Cut out? No, I think it played. I think it played the whole thing.
It did? Okay. Yeah. For me though, it was like I'm like, what's going on? Okay. Anyways, we are live. Welcome everyone to Rule Zero. I am Paul Bauer. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, but most of all, please drop comments either in the live chat or after the replay down below. Joining me today right now is world champion John Fitch. Everybody else is late.
Yep. That's Rule Zero time.
Classic.
Rule Zero time.
Classic.
Yeah.
What's going on, man? What have you been up to?
Still working on my self-defense course, my practice self-defense. It's all filmed and edited. It's just I gotta write stuff, and that's where I'm slow.
Oh, you know what? Clary's calling me. I wonder if everyone's like can't find the link.
Yeah, you should probably repost it. I had to scroll all the way up in the chat.
Okay, yeah, that's probably what it is.
And they're old, their fingers get achy. They have to scroll too long.
Right. There we go. We'll at least have Clary. Does your scroll not work? I'm being a dick. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I was almost gonna write, but I scrolled all the way up.
You know, yeah, I was actually thinking about doing that this morning. I just was like, you know what? I have to upload some things. There's some things I wanted to show before we really got into the topic at hand. So while we're waiting for other people, though, we can just sort of shoot the crap. Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys, in the chat? Let's see here. Is that pronounced danger or danger? Is it danger? Is that? Oh, he meant to say sup. Sup.
Dang.
So you said it's raining right now out in California?
It's raining, yeah. I don't know, something you guys might be able to hear if you got good speakers, but the garage is getting pissed on right now.
Oh yeah, I can hear it. Oh, here's
Flooding
Thor.
in California. I was telling you before. I think the God is washing away all the sin of California. It's just been raining nonstop for a week.
There we go.
That's all right.
My bad, guys. My bad.
We are allowed to decay into a third world society. That's all right. Punctuality is a foregone Western tradition. And I know how you ex-military guys hate being on time and making your bed once you get out of the military.
This show was on time.
I'm kidding.
That was on time.
Hey, nice book you got there, Thor.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I've got that same book. That's weird.
Oh wow.
That's weird.
Everybody's reading.
Yeah, we're all book nerds. All right. Well, I guess we got a couple of people here. We could start with the topic at hand. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to look at this, but this article came out this week. UK schools developing special lessons to re-educate teens that have been brainwashed by the evil Andrew Tate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's funny about that is
they even claim he's been charged. Read the article, which is not true.
Article. Yeah. He's been charged with what? I mean,
let's see. It says in the very first thing that Tate is locked up with a Romanian president on charges of rape and sex trafficking. He hasn't been charged yet.
They're pushing the sex trafficking stuff.
Yeah.
Human trafficking hard.
Got it. Yeah, that makes sense. So another kind of interesting thing I thought of when I found that article, my son is he's 13 and he actually is a huge Andrew Tate fan. And in fact, he told me, he's like, Dad, if you ever like get to meet Andrew Tate, you got to take me with you. Like, okay. So I thought that was pretty funny. But so I asked him before doing this show to send me a couple of TikToks that he sees on his timeline, because kids have a different timeline than adults do on TikTok. Yeah. So he sent me these TikToks. I wanted to show them to you guys.
You in some way, you deserve what happens to your dumb ass. Breathe air. You don't need a vape. Have you ever seen anyone with a vape? You ever sat in a room? So we go, wait, let me just go. My vape's done charging. Yep. I mean, I smoke cigars, but I know what the fuck I'm doing. Give me a big fat cigar.
There goes the
I'm risking
monetization.
cancer to look like a mafia boss.
And canceled.
I got one more here.
Someone, some bumbatla, and of course he replied with the typical, but I don't like sparkling. You don't like sparkling water? You don't like water? Yeah, but the bubbles. Bubbles? You scared of bubbles, you little bitch? Doesn't taste of anything. It has bubbles in it. Oh, you're afraid of bubbles? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is another full-grown man. Fucking some other bitch. Just told you about how I'm sitting. I can't go through my life without getting angry. I've got to meet people, business associates, etc. I go there. One dude orders sushi. Some other dude's scared of bubbles. Like, if a waiter comes over and goes, "What water for the table?" "Sparkling, please." I obviously answer because I'm the fucking boss. And then some fucking bitch, "Oh, can I have a still?" The fuck you drink the water on the table? You're a fucking man. You just start making the waiter run back and forth and change water orders because you can't handle bubbles? Pussy ass dude.
Jesus Christ! This is what entertains people today.
Well, that's the kid's version of Andrew Tate.
Yeah.
That is
So
being.
my oldest is 10, and he's playing his Roblox or whatever, and he's playing with one of his friends, and my 8-year-old's like, "Who's Andrew Tate?" Because they have their names on the players. So one of his friends' screen name was Andrew Tate. Like, so like this, 8 to 10-year-old knows who he is enough to put him on, their name for their logo thing.
Yeah, my son says that the kids that are Andrew Tate fans at his school, they all refer to themselves as tater tots. What's going on? But still, those clips there, I mean, are those so bad and dangerous that we need to re-educate kids with the thought police?
Yes.
Well, if you look at what all the other programming and entertainment and stuff that they're allowed to watch and listen to is telling them, like, that's a big problem who Andrew Tate is and the message that he's pushing. Just anti take it in the ass and be happy about it.
I can tell you exactly why. Yes, I was just watching it this morning, as a matter of fact. Are you guys familiar with the podcaster's Critical Drinker? He's like kind of a well, I know Aaron is. He's kind of like a pop culture / I guess gaming culture too. Would you say? But he had a Critical Drinker. He's like 4 million subs or something like that. He's actually pretty well known.
He's the foremost movie critic of the internet. Yeah, that's
for sure.
an easy way to describe
pop
it.
culture as well. Yeah, I found him through from Vince from Masculine Geek. And he's got a really good take on things, because I was watching this video just this morning, as a matter of fact, on why it is that you don't like why movies suck. Like, he's got this series of like why movies suck today. And one of the it's a 2-part series right now. It's part 1 is the one I watch, and it's about why we don't have strong male role leads in movies anymore. It's like it used to be like we were like wanting to make sure that there's going to be a strong female lead in Hollywood, and now we need the opposite, because the reason why movies suck is because scriptwriters, screenwriters, movie makers, producers simply hate men. Period. They're more concerned with gender dynamics and gender politics and race politics than they are about actually putting together a good plot and good. And so the whole movie or the whole video was primarily about the lack of what I've been talking about for a while now, which is like the lack of conventionally masculine roles in Hollywood right now. And we've fundamentally kind of changed the way that we watch movies as it is. So we don't watch movie like a 2-hour movie anymore and we're done with it and wait for the next sequel. We watch series. We watch Netflix series. So we'll commit 8 to 10 hours to a Netflix series and then be pissed off that we, got to wait a whole nother year to get the next 8 to 10 episodes again. But it's a serial kind of thing, as opposed to like, here's a story, here's a plot, here's what's happened. It's the development, climax, afterwards, that kind of stuff. All that's out the window. Nobody knows how to write those stories anymore, because they're writing for a churn marketing dynamic where it just keeps people engaged all the time. It's like Stranger Things. Like, when's the next one going to come, right? So you've got people who are essentially not movie makers or script writers per se, but they're series creators, or really screenwriters is what they are. They're not really making movies or anything that's really super engaging. And then if that series fails, they move on to the next one that maybe this one will be more engaging. It's supposed to, keep you in the churn kind of thing. Well, as a result of that, we are too interested in satisfying a much broader audience as a result of like wanting gender dynamics or multiculturalism or whatever else it is. But in the process, the people who are doing the writing for these things have completely forgotten how to write male characters, or they just simply never learned it in the first place because they've never had a conventionally masculine role that is in any way appealing to what they think other people will want to watch. And so they go for the safe shit. And I think one of the reasons why you see Andrew Tate making such an impact that he has now, granted, the Tates are marketing like, dynamos. I'll throw that one out there. But the appeal to young, like teenage guys is the Tates are Han Solo. The Tates are fucking Captain Kirk. The Tates are Arnold Schwarzenegger. Name the tough guy from the 80s movies, or even maybe into the early 90s, right? Name the guys who were conventionally masculine, who could give a fuck about a fuck, right? And they had that character and that bravado and the machismo and unapologetically. Like you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger in Commando, or Arnold Schwarzenegger in Predator, or you've got Sylvester Stallone in the worst movie ever made, which was like Icebound or some shit like that. Even those movies, like comparatively speaking, are better than the series that we have today. So when an unapologetically conventionally masculine guy, even if it's a character, even if it's a persona, comes on the scene, which today is the modern internet, he's going to stand out amongst everything else. And people, and especially young, teenage guys, are going to be drawn to that because that's what they it's not like they're necessarily looking at him as a role model, but they look at him and they understand that his character gets a rise out of mom. It gets a rise out of their female teachers. It gets a rise out of their pussified, pandering, enabling blue pill beta dads too, like feminized guys. They realize that it gets around. They're going to do what teenage kids do no matter what. Like, oh, this pisses off the adults. Fuck you, tater tots. Yeah, I'm going to be a Tate guy. Yeah, what color is your Bugatti? Like that's of course they're going to go with that because that gets a rise out of the adults. And so now, because we have such this intense hatred of the masculine right now, we have to send them to re-education camps. We have to find some way to make a class so that people can sort of like, what is it? An intervention, or what do they do when you're like, you're in a cult and they like bring you out of the cult and they like decompress you or something.
Deprogramming.
Yeah, deprogram you for like, it's like Clockwork Orange, right? Like they think this shit is Clockwork Orange is what it is. But the reason for that is because suddenly out of the blue comes a Captain Kirk or comes a Han Solo. And I've said this on Vince's show a million times. If you want to be a millionaire, create characters like Han Solo, like Indiana Jones, like Captain Kirk, an unapologetically conventionally masculine guy who doesn't give a flying fuck about whatever the current gender norms are, and you will be a millionaire because you could write the worst character in the world, but just because it's novel, people will flock to it. That's why your kids love Andrew Tate.
Rollo, you could see even financially where there's an absence of males in movies, as you were talking before. But Top Gun Maverick, I think, was the most successful financially. And I like the show. It was very cleverly done, but it was not the best movie ever. It's just a solid flick by conventional standards. But there's such a lack of, good movies, period, but one where there's a masculine, traditional, it ain't woke political shit. And now they're already predicting Tom Cruise's the sequels to the Mission Impossible. What is the Day of Reckoning 1, and then there's Day of Reckoning 2. They're already predicting that's going to walk away with 2023 because it isn't crap. And there's, Tom Cruise is playing a masculine role model. So there is a demand for masculine men, and these boys will gravitate towards it. That's what they're programmed to do. But obviously the powers that be have to stop that. And I don't know, for control reasons or whatever, you just can't have masculine men seeding revolution or counter thought to whatever their narrative or agenda is. But short version, that's a ton of overreach on the part of the schools. But I guess if your parents are going to parents, because like in the UK, parents are pussies just like they are here in the United States. So I guess if you're not going to parent another vacuum, the
heaven
schools
forbid
will.
they do it themselves.
Yeah.
Heaven forbid they actually teach their kids stuff.
Oh man! Oh Fitch, I'm gonna bake.
Schools must do something about this.
I'm going to bake your brain right now. So I was watching Hotep Jesus, and he was talking about artificial intelligence. Right? We were talking about Chat GPT and all this other stuff, and he brought this up, and I thought this is fucking genius. AI will be used in the future with apps. I'm not saying it'll be software based and app based pretty soon. AI will be used to raise your kids. AI will be used on tablets. It will find something that is like
they'll have a little pet robot dog that watches
yes.
everywhere.
And so he and I was thinking about this, and he was talking about it. I was in his chat, and when we talked later, I was like, AI will raise your children in the future. Guaranteed, because you'll have these women who are like these strong, independent girls who want to, follow the kill the party norm. They have a kid, but they need like a digital man.
They have they're working on the synthetic womb already.
Yeah.
They're going to have the baby in a synthetic womb, and then the robot dog will raise the baby.
Have you seen Black Mirror's Metalhead yet?
I haven't seen that one. Man, that show is so good, but after every episode, I'm like, why did I watch that? Like, why did I do that to myself?
You have to watch this one. I will link you the
I need
is that the robot dog one?
It will give you fucking nightmares. That is your episode.
Is that the robot dog one?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh God, no! Don't watch it, John.
Netflix,
Even me, I don't have a phobia of robot dogs, but don't watch
Season
that
4, one. Metalhead, man, that is a fucking great episode.
Brilliant episode.
Yes,
give you nightmares.
Crazy.
But yeah, AI will raise your kids very soon, because you will have strong, empowered women who want to empower themselves by being a mom and having it all, and being able to have a career as an influencer too. That's okay. Let's just farm out. We'll just get a digital nanny and farm out all of our child rearing to AI. Guaranteed.
Is that much different than we do now,
guys? Invest now. What?
Ryan, you got it. Go ahead.
Is that much different than what we do now? Because the education system, they basically offload it onto a federal agency anyway.
It'll just be industrialized.
It's just be industrialized. But at this point, it's like, I think the issue is going to be that these kids raised by AI, you're going to just get a further segmentation of people who are willing to learn on their own and those that are willing to be indoctrinated. But I don't want to have the connotations with that.
Yep.
So it's no different than what we have now. It's just going to be faster. So all these accelerationists talking about the world is going to end, getting mad about AI taking over. It's like, dude, this was your wet dream. It's what you wanted.
Yeah. Congratulations. Rejoice.
And if you're a piece of shit parent that raises your kids by the tablet, then you're probably going to screw your kid over. I hope you think of yourself as a good dad who goes to church every Sunday, because you're definitely not raising a good kid. And the dads that are engaged with their kid and teach them. They're going to teach the kid about AI and all this stuff, and they're going to learn to think a little bit more critically and have a bit more life experience, and they'll be fine.
And tell me this, is there any more Borg-like structure than public school teachers? Like, okay, we're just going to take teachers and make it a program and an algorithm. Talk about the most NPCs that ever NPC'd. Mm-hmm. And if you're going to be that unified in thought, you can be codified and made into an app. And so I know teachers have their head so far up their ass, they think they're the most wonderful thing, but they can't be replaced.
After they replace all the fast food workers with the robots, the teachers are going next.
Probably, yeah. I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say
because they're all running a program anyways. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I decided not to use my degree and become a teacher, was because you had no real say over what you were teaching. Like, other people are handing down the criteria, the all the stuff that you're supposed to teach the kids. I mean, you get some selection on books or whatever, but you're forced to teach the government's message.
And they use
that's a good point. That's a good point. Actually, I taught college for a year after I got out of college, and the school I taught at, Coleman University in San Diego, they gave me a curriculum and said, this is what we want you to teach. And I didn't have to do any lesson plans on my own. I didn't have to come up with the homework assignments. I didn't even have to make my tests. I just had to deliver the stuff that they gave me. So I tried to deliver it in a way, because I was teaching information technology stuff. So I told them like, hey, this is what's on the test, but this is real world. This is how you really handle this situation. So, I mean, teachers do have the ability to do that if they want, but a lot of them don't do that.
One of the high schools, I went to a public high school to observe in Indianapolis, and they were just handing out packets. Like that was what happened. They got a packet on Monday, and then they would work through the packet through the week, and that was it. Like you didn't have to have a teacher. Anybody who could show up and chaperone that day and hand out the packets and talk about and read through what was in the packets and do the work. Like you didn't need a degree to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Besides, you know what's good about AI? It won't try and indoctrinate your kids and talk about their sexuality. That's a bonus.
Unless it's programmed.
Or will
it?
Yeah, but if the AI tells you that it's LGBT, what does that even mean?
What do you feel like today? What are your pronouns?
So let me give you another frightening future shock here. I had a guy who heard me talking about AI on my show. I think we talked about it on the end of the year show too as well. And he sent me this this chat log, or the exchange that he had with Chat GPT, and he was trying to get Chat GPT to give him a list of reasons why marriage is not a good idea for men today, right? And it wouldn't do it.
There's limits.
In fact, it gave him the opposite. Like, oh, but it'll help you with you'll make more money, and married men are healthier, and all those the standard tropes and bullshit that we see all the time. And I was like, damn, it will do anything except for go against the fucking narrative. I was like, fuck. And I said, you're probably just asking the wrong questions. If you can ask it for stats on like divorce, if you ask it for statistics, like if you're more specific about it, it probably would give you the listing of how much money is made off of divorce per, or whatever it is. You could ask like content specific questions and it would give it to you. But if you just say something as general as ChatGPT, give me a list of reasons why marriage is not a good idea for men, it will give you the opposite and try to convince you of the opposite. It will. I got to go find the chat log. I'll bring it up.
Rollo, it does that with quite a few questions. There's actually limits there, the way they programmed it, because I tested it. Ask it why feminism is bad for modern society. Just do it. Find out what it says. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. And then you can actually do it with climate change. It refuses to. It says, well, modern consensus of scientists is that climate change, humans cause it, and it just won't do it. Or it locks up and says, I'm just a computer. I'd have to have an opinion in order to write this. So there are limits programmed in.
I love the consensus argument. Like consensus isn't how you science, that's
it
how it works.
That specifically. Yeah. Pretty interesting.
So going back to the article though, and specifically another thing that stood out to me was the idea of re-education. Like that concept comes straight out of George Orwell's 1984. What do you guys think about like the way, like I think about it like this, policing people's thoughts is a dangerous concept, no matter what you believe, right? If you hate the Tates, a lot of people do, great. If you like them, great. But trying to, re-educate people on what to think is problematic, I think, in a society. Thor, what do you think about that?
Well, the communists certainly doubled down on B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning when it comes to re-education. They have labor camps, right? What did they call them? Not labor camps. They called them re-education camps. So they definitely used the punishment and then the promise of getting free if you were a good part of society by developing these convictions that matched with the narrative, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the Andrew Tate thing on the article that I read that you had earlier up about re-educating these young men, I think they're also kind of capitalizing on it, because there's more articles than this one if you really get into it, and it looks like they're leaning towards needing more funding in order to address this horrid problem with our young men.
So they define an out-group to go galvanize the in-group, huh? That's marketing 101.
Yes. You could see that really developing there. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. That'll be the next call for funding so that we can address this horrid bad guy, and then everybody can get paid.
Yeah. One of the things too they talk about in the article is that the teachers are focused on deprogramming these kids about misogyny, right? Because misogyny is bad, and they say that the Tates promote grape that we have to say on YouTube because we're children. Apparently he's responsible for all that kind of stuff, and so now they've got to deprogram these kids. I don't, my son's never come home after watching one of these silly Tate TikToks and said anything like that. It's all just that silly stuff that I played at the beginning, like the breathe air vape stuff,
It's the feigned indignity that they're pumping out on the Tate situation is pretty amazing. They are capitalizing it. That's quite a hustle. It fits right into where they would like to carry the narrative.
Do you guys see any parallel between this and Putin? Where immediately I was told, like, you had to search for Putin's speech. And within a day, not only did you have every major Western platform censoring him, not freedom of speech, can't hear the other side, but immediately Putin's the bad guy. And again, I'm not pro or against Putin.
They tell you what to think.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit, that was quick. Like, do we get to hear the other side? Like, before we do war or quasi-war, maybe we go talk to the guy? Like, hey.
Oh, my 2001 friend. You must be new to this.
Well, but then also there may be more to it, slightly more than that. Like, okay, there's no doubt Putin's a badass. Former KGB, not Taekwondo, judo champion. I mean, that is a dude not, I wouldn't fight Putin, even though he's shorter than me. Yeah, but is there kind of like, oh my God, here's a masculine guy, and so we have to again maintain the narrative, in this case war, international relations, but here or at least in the UK it would be sexual dynamics, because you have a bad masculine man present.
Yeah.
One thing they're doing it in Russia though, which is it's like they're trying to counteract what's going on in the West, where we're just totally embracing, rainbow life and whatever. They're actually like banning that stuff because they see it as a problem over there. That's almost like too far to the other side in the extreme though. Don't you think?
Right. Yeah. No, it's too far. Yeah. You should let people be people and kind of, I don't know, leave them alone, let them live their life. But I just noticed that here you have a pretty alpha guy, and Ancillary, they had to take him down as well, but that's more primarily for international relations and foreign policy. But I'm trying to think, if we sat down and thought about it, we'd probably come up with other masculine men. I mean, you could arguably say Henry Cavill, for example, in the movie industry, not being taken down, but he ain't tolerating shit. He's like, no, I'm not doing The Witcher anymore. And then Hollywood's, no, we're not doing a Superman or anything like that. Like, in other words, the internet digital world, which is
going to be Superman.
The real world almost doesn't matter, because the internet world is what people first see, and that becomes the reality. So we have to make sure absolutely no masculine figures ends up becoming maybe a flag for masculine men to rally around, perhaps.
Well, just the even idea that there's an alternate way of thinking, but you step outside of that box of primary feminine primary objectives, you're wrong. You've got to be chided back. You've got to be attacked. You've got to be removed.
Well, yeah, you don't make any money. Women spend money. Single, childless women, they spend money.
Yeah.
Minorities, they spend money. New immigrants, they spend money. So of course everything is appealing to them.
Sons commit a lot of crimes.
Yeah. Well, that prison makes a lot of money off of that too.
Prison makes a lot of money.
Everybody thinks it's some weird cabal of lizard people. It's not. It's just a bunch of rich people who want to make a lot of money, are targeting the disposable income crowd. And what do those spinsters love to do? Spend money and shit on dudes. So yeah, of course they're going to shit on Tate, because that's how Dr. Phil gets his new yacht.
So let me connect.
It's gonna get a new one real soon. Saying.
So, and where I'm not disagreeing with Ryan, because ultimately all this behooves the question: why are they going to such an extent to counter brainwash Tate's influence on children in schools? Is it just so that they become good little debt slaves? They all go to college and they all vote Democrat, in the case of the United Kingdom, socialist, or labor. I'm sorry, same difference, parasites. Is that it? So then they go into college and become debt slaves, and then they buy the thing that they were told to buy. And the unifying thing is misogyny bad, womans forever. I can't make the connection unless people
I don't think there is one, Clary. I know. I'm sorry to kibosh your question, but it's like, you remember how cigarettes back in the day, like, want to market to kids because kids will be lifetime things. I don't think that applies anymore. I think people are very short-term thinking, and it's not like, here, when you teach all this stuff to kids, who do you get paid from? It's not the kids paying you. And there's nobody in business right now who's thinking in 10 years when these kids get old enough, they're going to buy my widgets. No, it's the school boards and the people who make those purchasing decisions. They're those same spinsters with a lot of disposable income. So they already believe what they want to believe. So you tell them what they want to hear, and then they fund your stupid scholastic book program. I really think it's a case where the kids are almost superfluous to this. They don't even care. And now it's got this feedback mechanism where everything is appealing to this certain demographic, and this certain demographic is now like spreading its message. So that's the only thing people lean. And then you get this Overton window where everybody's learning all the stuff we're talking about. And so that's the only frame of reference they have to talk about stuff. But I think that's not an intention. I think that's just a benefit, or I guess not a benefit, a consequence of people appealing to the school marms that love hearing that, oh, it's a big tent. It's so inclusive. And yeah, by the way, sucks to be a white guy. Get out of my life.
So we could say it's the concept of being kosher. And Rollo, you talked about this in 2 books ago or a book ago.
Yeah, really.
Where it's like, okay, it's kosher. We're all on the same team, and it has to go through that lens or through that meta in order, like, well, wait, are you woke? Because I can't do business with you if you're woke. Wait, do you believe in the suffering of womans across the planet everywhere? Because if you don't, and so what it is, I'm so confused because these people are insane, or at least logically flawed. I'm like, what do you care about Frank? I'm not a big Tate fan. Some douchebag in Central Europe who mouths off on the LA. I truly don't understand it, but they do. They got some sand in their vagina and they got to do it. And I'm like, and it kind of goes back to the same thing. Like, really? Now we're going to go the other, because in defense of the Tates, I don't believe one damn thing coming out of the media right now. Not one damn thing. And so I find this as a fascinating circus on both sides of it. But I think Ryan's got it kind of like, yeah, there's this, like, we're all good Christians here. Oh, he's a good Catholic, or he's a good Jewish boy. It's all kosher. So now we can conduct business. And since everything has to go through that filter,
ideological,
now you got woke shit for Hollywood.
It's a litmus test. Yeah.
And hey, if it ends up making money long term, then maybe that's the way to go.
Yeah,
like, who's to say it's not right?
But see, like, wokeism.
I don't think so, but
like, wokeism has all the hallmarks of a religion. Like, if you go, I think I don't know if I said it on this show, but like, I have seen, you've probably seen these placards where it's like, they have these like these lawn signs, and it says, in this house, we believe, love is love and no one is illegal. And, feminism is great. The future is female, and like, whatever, like the buzz terms are for, trust the science kind of thing, whatever it is, all these buzzwords. And it's all basically this like litany of beliefs. And I looked at this when I was out walking the dogs one time. I looked at this and I go, that's a statement of faith, is what that is. Like, if you go to a church and you're like you get the new newcomers package or something like that, you'll get a little in the package. It'll say, in this church, this is what we believe. Like, it's articles of faith, right? Here's what we believe. Jesus Christ is this, like, that they'll go through the articles of faith and like, wow, so that you're in the right place, right? And I looked at the sign and I go, that's the same thing as articles of faith when you get a newcomers package at a church or something. This is what we believe. It literally says, in this home, this is what we believe. And I'm like, that's a religion. It certainly has all the hallmarks of a religion. And so I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay, what have they replaced everything with? And it was actually fundamental in sort of like developing the fourth book, seeing that there's a secular humanist side of a religion. They just don't call it religion. They just think, well, everybody believes like we do, right? Everybody will believe this. You want to know why you see all these like people who are like coming to blows on fucking airlines these days? It's nothing to do with COVID. It's because people are in this really kind of atomized state where they are in their echo chambers listening to what they want to believe. And then when you put all these people together, and usually it's, unless they're going to a concert or they're like, they're at some like live, social event like that. You're going to see them on planes. And if a guy comes in, he's got a MAGA hat on, or he's got some Trump thing, or you're on a tablet, or you're on your phone or something, and you're looking at your Instagram feed, or you're looking at your YouTube feed or whatever. And you see all these like sort of conservative stuff comes up, or all this liberal ass shit comes up. That's when people will feel like it's their moral imperative to like correct you right there, because they've been doing it for so long online that they think they can do it live, and then they get their fucking job broke. So when you see like the dynamics that are going on, it's a conflict of ideology at that point. It's like a conflict. It's a religion versus religion, and in this case, it's like the wokeness religion. And again, it's not like you'll go to heaven. It's not like supernatural per se, although people will say they're spiritual but not religious. But they've replaced sort of like heaven with I want to be on the right side of history. Like that's the way to be immortalized, is to be on the right side. Well, at least I was right when all this went down, and it's kind of really kind of scary to me as far as like how like invested people are in that.
What's really scary? Brilliant that you put that connection there as a religion, because the narrative's been putting these beliefs out there for a long time, and we're seeing it, at least in my opinion, in the last few years, turn into a conviction right before COVID. It's turned into such conviction. People kill each other for convictions. Now it's on automatic, and people that are convicted, we might call it faith in religion. It doesn't matter the belief. They will only look for, what do they call it? Confirmation biases. I think you just pointed to that with the media. That's what they're confirming all the time, is that this wokeness is their reality. Anything outside that reality is definitely the enemy.
Well, and that's where Tate comes in as sort of like he's the devil. He's the antithesis of that religion, or at least certainly a core tenet of that religion, which is feminism, and the future is female. And here comes Captain Kirk. Here comes the character of Andrew Tate. I think we need to separate the persona and the character of Andrew Tate, and what that character represents to the woke religion, as opposed to like who the guy is actually. Like he's a marketer, basically, is what he is. Yeah. But the character he portrays and he pushes out there, that's what they find offensive. That's what they want to make sure that your kids don't listen to. And that's what they want to, re-educate their kids. And it seems, I'll tell you what's crazy is, you can use the term re-educate. You can use the term like prison camp for like COVID camp or whatever. And nobody like questions it. Nobody's like, didn't we hear about this back in the late 30s and early 40s? Like at some point, where's the connect? And it seems like the most natural thing in the world to this.
Yeah. What's worse is I want to just real quick,
sure,
as to how when Rolly, you were talking about the yard signs, and Thor, you kind of clarified it. I think we could almost conclude, if we want to use Occam's razor to boil it down, as hooliganism, where it's as dumb and stupid as, I'm a Vikings fan and we're playing against the Chicago Bears, and F those guys. Tribalism. I mean, it is really, and I think it is, they're men and they're part of the patriarchy. F those guys. I'm like, dude, they're human. And I don't know, not to get too cerebral. I don't mean to be like Ryan Stone. There's only one Ryan Stone. So please forgive me, Ryan, for becoming.
Yeah, you couldn't rock that sweater, Aaron. Just saying. Go ahead.
Do you guys ever study or hear about the Nika revolts in Byzantium, Roman Empire? So the Constantinople almost fell because of hooliganism. There were different teams. There are different teams based on colors, like gladiators, chariot races, and legit, it was like the green team, the blue team, the white team, the red team. They're just colors. And I think the green team beat the blue team. And because people were so invested in the blue team, the blue people rioted and almost destroyed Constantinople. I think it was Justinian almost fled, but then, a real alpha female called Theodora prevented it. You could look at a very fascinating story, but it's this macabre insight as to how stupid humans are, where it's like, you're going to destroy society because the blue team beat the red team. And now I'm wondering if that is how simple and pathetic most Americans or Westerners are, is I need something to glom on to, but not a hard religion where there's sacrifice and discipline and commandments and rules to follow. But I could just, put a yard sign out. I'm for the minorities or the women or the children. And by God, you're the enemy and I have value because there's evil in the world and I need to self-aggrandize myself because I'm not with the red team.
That's why they killed off religion, man.
Yeah, but they just replaced it with something even dumber. At least religion.
Well, religion had really hard. It was hard. Religion's hard, man.
Obey your husband. Shut the F up and make me a sandwich.
To not sin, to not be a lazy person and
that's too much to ask.
Degenerate. That's way too hard, man.
We need an easier form.
We need to love everybody for every reason, just because everybody's perfect the way they are.
I love you, John.
Even if you sin, you don't even have to be sorry for it.
Yeah, that's a big push, though. That's even pushed in corporate America. Right now, there's nothing done, or all the training that's coming forward is consensus decision-making. And that is being pushed huge. It's not so much to be innovative anymore, but to gather consensus in order to make business decisions.
Go ahead, Paul. Just talk over them. It's your show, man.
I'm too polite. I'm too damn polite. I just wanted to get to a couple of these super chats here. So Glenn posted this, wokeness is a religion. They don't want to say it is, but they won't consider it a religion until they have their own version of the Crusades. Okay. Thanks for the super chat, Glenn. And then we have Sam Whiskey here. The Thought Police wants to cancel the metal band Rammstein.
Metal is a relative term for Rammstein. Just saying. Continue.
For being too masculine. All right. That's all I wanted to say.
That's the only song anyone knows by Rammstein.
That's the only one I know of there.
They're so good, and that's the only to us.
It's almost like everything is teams these days, though, right? Like during COVID, it was team mask versus team anti-mask. It's team Republican versus team Democrat. That's
team gas stove versus team I don't cook.
God. Right. Team microwave.
That's the stupidest rivalry that there's like literal like people going back and forth snapping at each other over like, guys, you don't need a gas stove.
So hard at that.
So stupid to even use one. Oh my god. Like they've had this opinion for
just real quick
years.
Hold on, John.
They're doing something about the gas stoves.
John. Okay, so here's the funniest part. Is like I had this mental image when I was starting to read about like the gas stove thing and AOC talking about how we need to replace all the gas stoves and everything. And I thought like I could just in my mind I pictured this collective of like women looking at. There's a stove over there. Is that gas? Like suddenly they're aware of the fucking oven.
Yeah, that's why the Gen Zers are like, yeah, totally, we should totally get rid of the gas stoves. None of them use it anyways.
Yeah. Well, they can boil water for mac and cheese.
I mean, honestly, man, I don't use my stove much anymore. I get my air fryer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw AOC on Twitter railing about the damn gas stoves, and I was like, "There's no way she cooks. There's no way she does."
And she has a gas stove, but she's like, I rent though. I rent, so like it doesn't count somehow.
All right, somehow that's not her problem. Yeah, okay, she's better. She's better than all that.
HelloFresh. Are you kidding?
Well, come on. To get back to the topic, maybe make it productive. So basically, we have mindless idiots. That worthless parents have outsourced their kids to, and if you're not going to take control of your kids' education, future, etc., this is going to be the consequence. This, in a vacuum of parenting, the state will gladly rise to the role and turn these children into what they want, whoever happens to be in charge.
MTV will raise your kids if you don't stop them.
So, for those of us who have kids, or you want, like, isn't this important? Where you should invest in your children. And this is the takeaway. Like, this should be a call for those who give a damn about their children. It's not merely a check mark box or a thing to buy and a status symbol, but you teach your kids. Like what we're talking about right now is philosophy. Like, I'm not even necessarily, like, I am against schools brainwashing children, but having the conversation like, look, and John, you do this brilliantly with your kids. Like your kids will come home with homework. You say, look, this is bullshit. Or you say, no, we're not going to watch this on Disney. You teach these kids to think independently of themselves. So they're not a fucking gaping, drooling Packers fan who's like, yeah, Minnesota Vikings bad. You know, like they actually have a life. And I think maybe that's the best thing you can give to these kids is you're actually giving them sentience, independent thought, philosophy, a mind, so that they go out and don't become one of these fucking drooling morons who are just nothing but debt slaves and pissed away their lives.
Yeah, I want to add on to that. So my mom's like ultra conservative, right? She volunteers for the local Republican group. She's always trying to get me to go and hang out with the Congress people that she brings to town and stuff. And she's like always deathly afraid of what the kids are being taught in public school. At the same time, you know, you have like these other ultra conservative people. They're like, oh, pull your kids out of school, homeschool them and stuff like that. Like for me, that's not even an option, right? I don't have time to homeschool my kids. So what I've done for their entire time in school is ask them, you actually talk to them, right? They come home from school and I'm like, so what are they teaching you there? And they'll tell me, you know, what they're learning in school. If I agree with it, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, great. And if it's something I disagree with, then I try to at least make an argument on the other side for them and say, well, this is why I see it as wrong, X, Y, and Z. If I'm doing a good job at sort of persuasion, then they sort of see the light on my side. Really, I mean, at the end of the day, that's the best you can do because, you know, the kids do have to think for themselves at the end of the day. But, you know, as parents, you can be more involved and at least explain the other side where they're not going to get it any other way.
They need to be taught critical thinking skills is what they need to be taught. More above everything else. They need to be, and that's a kind of in a roundabout way. That's what John Fitch has been talking about. It's like, you know, giving them the, hey, think for your fucking self, right? Here's how you, and here's, does this not smell like bullshit to you? You know, like go check this out kind of thing. Yeah. I was going to say is my third book, Positive Masculinity, when I wrote that, it was 4 guys who kept asking me about how to be a quote unquote red pill parent. And when I was sort of compiling that book, I was like, okay, what is if I could boil it down into like, what's the single most important principle is like, well, of course, you know, live it out, you know, live out the example that you want your kids to sort of follow as well, because kids don't listen to shit. They watch you and they see what you do and they emulate that. They will learn more from watching you than from anything you say. So if you give them like some big old long, you know, fatherly wisdom diatribe, if they get 5% of that, consider that a success. But they will watch what you do. And then the other part of this is, so that was point number 1. And then point number 2, I think, is I don't think enough if you're a parent right now, I mean, you know, some of you guys are anyways. If you're a parent right now, whether it's a son or a daughter, the most important thing that you have to keep in the back of your head, like sort of your subroutine running in the back of your head, is that if you don't teach them, they will be taught by the village. They will be taught by someone else. It'll be pop culture. It'll be wet ass pussy. It will be, you know, the next movie, that whatever they're watching, whatever their friends are into, whatever TikTok is on TikTok, whatever is on Instagram. And I'll tell you what's funny is like, we want to re-educate kids for watching Andrew Tate and then basically parroting back whatever he says just because it's like aggravating to the adults. But we don't want to re-educate them for all the other crap that they learn on TikTok. We don't want to re-educate young ladies to say, hey, don't be a skank. Like we don't want to, those classes don't exist. That Clockwork Orange doesn't exist. It's only for whatever it goes against that particular ideological purity test that they have at that time. But when I was writing Positive Masculinity, and I published it in 2017, the first thing I said is like, you have to be aware of what you are up against as a guy, especially if you're a divorced father and you only have like custody and you only get to see your kids like every other week or whatever your custody arrangement happens to be an involved father, especially if you're divorced or like maybe you just have a baby mama or something like that, to be involved in your kids. It's essential that you are, but you have to understand that everything is aligned to keep you away from your kids. Everything is an obstacle to you becoming an involved father. And then what will happen is they'll say, shame on you, fuck you, dad, because you weren't there for soccer practice or piano recital or whatever else. And that's why I'm a criminal. That's why I'm on the pole. That's why I'm rioting. That's why I'm a drug addict. That's why I'm a suicide risk. That you'll be blamed for not being involved and not pushing past those freaking obstacles that block you from being an involved parent. You have to understand what you're up against. And also the indoctrination and the education of your kids is going to take place. And if you're not the one that is actually there educating and being involved, they're going to get it from somewhere else. So what do you want to do as a guy? What do you want to do as an involved father? And I'm sick to death of hearing these sons of bitches say, "Oh, we don't have enough involved. There's so many single mothers, yada yada yada." It's like, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily marriage. A marriage certificate does not describe an involved father or a non-involved father. So if we're going to say that, if you're divorced or there's no marriage between the mother and the father, and therefore that's like an absentee father, that we need to start redefining that.
I'd like to ask the fathers on the panel something, Thor in particular, because you have a very successful adult children, and John and Paul, you guys still have kids. But did you ever I think lying to kids is good. And what I mean by that is you try to raise their bullshit detector. Like I tell my nieces, oh yeah, we used to mine trees. And I'm like, mine trees? Yeah, the trees were underground. You had to only in 2002 did they start coming above the ground. They're like, oh, and you kind of see they're like, what? That doesn't, so you teach them hey, not everyone tells you the truth. Did you guys ever lie to your kids that way? I mean, snipes.
Yeah, I do buster balls. Yeah.
I do all the time. My kids, it's still to this day, my daughter is almost 18. She still hasn't learned not to ask me why things are called certain things, right? We went to the Royal Gorge one time and we're getting on the gondola and my kids go, "Hey, Dad, why is it called a gondola?" My standard answer is always, well, because a guy named John Gondola invented it. And it doesn't matter what it is. It's John so-and-so invented it. And then now they're at the point where they're like, God, why did I even ask? So yeah, of course I do that all the time.
Well, I think it's absolutely critical for young gals because guys, we're guys, we're going to lie to get laid. And I really,
I don't know about that.
Well, okay. I don't know about you guys.
I tell my son,
fine lie.
If my son fibs to me, I go, don't lie to me. You lie to girls. Okay.
No.
I do tell him that. Yeah. It's good advice.
But I think,
not a lie, it's an exaggeration.
Right. And there's counter brainwashing because Rollo's right. They are going to get brainwashed. There's also BS detection. But I think another huge thing would be to teach young kids, that's your obligation. I think is one of the main things is to give your kids a reason to live. You can't just say, follow all these rules and be a good boy. Again, where maybe religion or philosophy would come. I'm not saying you put these kids down in front of Stefan Mullen and watch this podcast, but you should family. We're going to get together. Maybe some holidays you celebrate, maybe religious, maybe secular, doesn't matter. But I think and here's where I become a cynic, a misanthropist, and I just want to piss on most American parents because I am a better parent than most American parents. I don't have kids. I don't have any experience, but you guys suck. Why you just breed? That's all these people do is breed, and then they don't take care of their kids. They don't raise them. They don't install ethics, values, anything. And
idiocracy.
And not only idiocracy, but mediocrity. Don't you want to play ball with your kid? Yeah. Don't you want to go take them fishing? Don't you want to go snipe hunting? Don't you want to kind of poke fun at them and kind of oh yeah, we used to mine the trees. Yeah, underground. Oh, yeah, those are the dark days. Where is that? No, it's go to school. If you even have a nuclear family, don't. And I know a lot of men are not allowed to see their kids. I get that. But man, I've seen a lot of dads where it's dude, you might as well be freaking dead. I'm tired after work. Too fucking bad. You stuck your dick in that hole and out that came. Now fucking invest in it. And I'm not going to give men as much of a pass. Unless, it's like Terrence Pop, where it's obvious you're prevented from seeing your kid. But man, there's just a bunch of weak ass fucking pussy fathers who won't fucking sit down and talk to I mean, Thor, I guarantee, tell us what you did with your sons. I mean, you didn't just let them sit. They didn't learn how to become who they are without some kind of guidance.
Sure. I had 3 sons and 1 daughter. They're all grown adults. I got 10 grandchildren with 2 more on the way.
God damn. You are officially a patriarch.
Exactly. But what people do is they farm out all the duties of a parent to either the school or daycare, and they come home tired and shut up, sit down sort of scenario. You've got to take your kids, and you've got to create things for them to do that fit your belief system. You have to develop their intelligence so they understand, like you were talking about banter. Of course, imagine my daughter. She had an amazing amount of banter, innuendo, teasing, white lies, and she was so innocent and naive. Today, as a 32-year-old woman, she has 2 children of her own. She is so socially intelligent, and she can spot things a mile away. She really is competent. Because she had all those brothers too that would kind of harass her, but boy, they'd protect her as well.
Yeah,
we did a lot of things. We had projects where I worked them like crews, and I would treat them like adults, even though they weren't, so that they could learn lessons about working together. Did a lot of educational things for camping out. We would do story time, but I would read educational things to them, and then kind of use the Socratic method where I asked them questions. What would you do? Why do you think it's wrong? Why do you think it's right? In the context of family. And it seems to have worked out pretty well. And it was just something that kind of happened when I grew up. So I just emulated it. Didn't really think too much about it, but it was very important to me.
Yeah, I was going to say is that I think the bullshit aspect, like if you just bullshitting your kids, right? I bullshitted my daughter all the time, right? Like, and by the way, my niece and my nephew, when they were children as well. Like you fuck around with them just because, first of all, because it's fun. Like
your wife too.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, we used to mine trees, like that kind of shit right there. No, they didn't. Like that's what you're looking for. Like, Uncle Rollo's bullshitting. Yes, I am. Well done, right? But see, it's funny to mess around with them, and of course, mom's like, oh geez, here we go again. Oh, dad jokes, that kind of shit, right? But the thing is you're right. There's a function behind that as well, which is teaching kids to sniff out bullshit. And you have to start at a very early age. And it's fun. It's fun to do, right? To mess around with them and let and the light goes on in their head and they go, no, they didn't, like that kind of shit. But that's like, there's actually a purpose to that. I don't think enough people really realize that. But if we start in on that, then suddenly that becomes toxic masculinity. That becomes something that, you shouldn't do that because you're leading them down the wrong path there, mister. You should teach them about multiculturalism and there's 72 different genders and how am I going to do that and bullshit them?
and how much? Let's talk about this. All this indoctrination. Say, I went to a Wisconsin Synod Parochial School, which is an extreme sect, even cult of Christianity. These kids are not having fun at 6 years old, being taught about diversity and look at what kind of gender are you or something like that. But I got my nieces to believe one of my best friends was a troll, but he took human form during the daytime and you had to bring him a gift. So they'd be grabbing him flowers and he's the most grumpy motherfucker ever. And he's like, and they're like, hi troll. And I'm just laughing my ass like, hey, wait a minute. We've never seen him in troll form. It's nighttime. They're going to respond to that way better. And they're going to take away something like, hey, not everything is as it seems, but what the hell are they going to learn from? Okay, that person is Hispanic or I have a vagina. Like that almost kills them and deadens their soul where they can't for a magic 2 or 3 years believe, oh yeah, Uncle Aaron has a troll friend. We met the troll, and they go, and what's great, they tell the kids at school, I know a troll. I'm like, yeah. Yeah.
And the other thing is, and this just kind of came to me, or saying that, Aaron, is that when I was doing my coursework for psychology in child psychology, one of the things that they tell you, like what you learn, like probably from the get-go, I think, is that children do not have a capacity for abstract thought until they get to like 18, really. And even then it's arguable, right? But they are developing a capacity for abstract thinking from the time they're about 5. Like 5 years old is like when kids are like a fucking sponge, right? If you want to like make an impression and help like develop a personality that is going to be your son or your daughter, you better start at 5 years old, because I'll tell you right now, when we talk about like how we raise boys to be defective girls, it starts at 5 when they're little sponges and they get it from their female teachers. And if you're a red pill dad, especially if you're sharing custody, understand that is game on. It's from the time they're 5 years old. You better be on top of that shit, because that's when they start absorbing all of this. But they don't develop a capacity for abstract thinking, really until 16, 18, and then even then it has to be a little bit more refined until they get into their early a human brain doesn't even like fully form or develop until like 20 or 21, right? But like thinking in abstract terms, that's why it's important to bullshit your kids, because it helps develop that capacity for abstract thinking. Is Uncle Rolla full of shit? Yeah, he's full of shit. Like that part right there, that he's full of shit, that teaches abstract thought. And it's a fun way to do it. But what we do is we kill that, because we turn that into toxic masculinity. We say, don't do that. You should be ashamed of doing that.
We'll have ice cream or ice cream bars or icy pops or whatever in the freezer, and the kids will get back to my place, and some of them will be gone, or all of them will be gone. Well, in my freezer, things evaporate when they're in there too long. Like things with sugar in it evaporate.
No Otter Pops.
Otter Pops evaporate, and there's water in there, so they evaporate even faster. And then the hot days, the stuff evaporates even faster. So like the kids will leave. They know I'm bullshitting, but they'll leave the house and they're going to be gone for like 5 days, and they'll be like, "Hey, don't let the stuff in the freezer evaporate."
Could we say that? I mean, because Rolly, you hit it where you come in.
We'll come and take the stuff out of the freezer.
where women will roll their eyes. Oh, Uncle Roll, or your father's giving you a lie, and so women kind of more caring, and they want, but whereas guys, because we kind of always bullshit each other and crack, and that metamorphosizes into slamming, and who could skewer the other guy. It almost becomes an art form.
Why we insult and we call you gay all the time.
Right. Oh, by the way, from Masculine Geek, zoom in on this fall.
Oh yeah, here we go. Hold on.
Oh, good. It's official now. That's nice.
Oh Lord. Oh man,
welcome back to the closet, Aaron.
$20 is $20.
MLG's gonna have a field day.
We're gonna have a field day with that. But more practically, as it applies to your kids, this is why you dads need to get involved and be men and kind of bust your kids' chops a little bit, take them on throw them in the back of the station wagon, drive across America, go to Yellowstone or whatever, because we could talk, I think a lot of people are like, oh, we're helpless. Oh my God. Do you see the socialists and the parasites are socialisting and parasiting and trying to make the boys girls and the girls boys? Like, yeah. Well, if you're looking for something to do about it, here's what you do. And between family, teaching your kids whatever traditions it might be through religion or perhaps secular, just we have a meal, we sit down, we're going to, in Thor's case, hey kids, we're going to put solar panels on the house. Here we go. And the 4-year-old's got a torch or whatever. But going through all this, and then especially the BS and the joshing, by the time the kid goes, they're going to be brainwashed, but if you can get their BS detector in independent thought and have a value system, they'll see, like, I don't believe, like, how many of you guys actually believed your teachers, like, oh my God, the starving people in Africa or the rainforest, you got to give them money to, I'm like, wait a minute, because I already knew BS because Christianity and all that. I was like, how is me giving you my lunch money going to prevent the tree in Brazil from being torn down? And this was like, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old. Shut up. You hate the environment. But see, that early on, I had this capacity not to believe the adults all the time, to have independent thought, or at least to call BS.
Cappy was already old at 10 years old.
I was old and pissed off and angry at the world at 10.
It's punk rock, man.
Yeah, but if you just get that into your kids, you have at least a counter narrative to what the teachers in the media and Vicky Minaj or Bitchy the Hooge or whatever the hell her name is, the plastic woman that sings the songs. You can have a counter narrative to that where they're like, I don't, and then maybe you don't have to like lord over their homework all the time. You don't have to homeschool.
True.
I agree with that.
There's no side effect though with like over-parenting your kids and being completely oppressive. Like they won't definitely become strippers after that too.
Right.
I think that's another thing people forget. Like a lot of these woke people right now, they're disenfranchised kids of like evangelicals who are hardcore this thing. And so the idea of the woke was a great way to piss off dad.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite Christianity stuff. That's why guys Rolo's age used to love metal because their dad hated they were listening. He's singing about the devil. Stop listening to that Kiss.
I know.
I must have corrupted my
What do you want to do with your life?
You know, Ryan, the irony is, I bet you could make a buck with a Reagan Bush 84 bumper sticker. Start giving it to the kids. They put that on and drive their parents nuts nowadays.
Well, that's why Tate's popular. Honest to God, that's why they
Dukakis fans.
No, well, because they can parrot back those words, and they know they'll get a rise out of their female teachers. They know they'll get a rise out of their woke mom. They know they'll get a rise out of the girls in their class when they say, "What color is your Bugatti?" They don't know what he's about. They just know that they get a kick out of it. It's that same, like, it's punk rock, man. It's like I like punk. I like the Dead Kennedys. I like metal. I like Slayer. Whatever. Like it to your evangelical mom and dad, right? It's the same thing because you know that it gets a rise out of them. And that's honestly, I think like 90% of like teenage rebellion, like your rebellious years, I think 90% of that is wanting to like push the envelope with your mom and your dad or the status quo, whatever it happens to be. And in this case, if you take the most radical character on the internet right now of Andrew Tate, now suddenly they think it like it's like the satanic panic of the 80s, right? Don't play Dungeons and Dragons because that'll lead you to devil worshiping and everything else. We need warning labels on these heavy metal albums because
Tom Hanks lied to us.
Judas Priest inspired that kid to go and like kill the other kid, right? That kind of shit right there. Tate is the modern PMRC. Tate is the modern like satanic panic right now, and that's why that's to the point where they have to take matters into their own hands and like have some like decompression or like Tate intervention classes, a Clockwork Orange once again. And that's how seriously they take it because their religion is the wokesy secular humanist religion with the placard in the front of the yard. And so then along comes the great satanic panic of like an Andrew Tate or someone who represents the antithesis of we believe this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Then now we have to put warning labels on the album that is Andrew Tate. We have to, re-educate kids with, religious tracts or which, the digital internet version of that today so that we can re-educate our kids away from what we think is the true fucking faith, which in this case happens to be the wokesy religion.
Hey, Thor, you said you have a story about what you used to do with your kids
just
that would
to
be shunned.
Yeah, I would probably not do too well raising those kids today because one of the things that I was talking about teaching them things, I actually brought the kids in and we did a project and I built them a tank. So I built a tank out of metal. I welded the frame, put wheels on it, and I built an actual third scale Bradley fighting vehicle. It had a 3-inch gun, had fake 50 calibers in it with a hatch and a rotatable turret. And all the neighbor kids would come over and I'd get girls and boys.
You're doing it right.
and I would send them on secret missions and I would give them the papers and hide them. And then they would push the tank around the neighborhood and move trash cans as the mission and stuff like that. And I can neither confirm nor deny that some of the boys, as they were approaching 12, might have attached a phallic object on a Santa at Christmas time. So it probably wouldn't go over too well today. I would probably be looked at. So
terrible.
How it was in our house. Yeah, it was terrible, right?
Well, I think if we're boiling it down, what can we do? What actionable? Like, do you want to raise robots? You talk about AI. Do you want to raise an intelligent human being that can make their own decisions? Like Thor, your kids, you don't worry about them. They're going to make that kind of thing. But if you raise robots to be popular or to conform or so that you're not ostracized from society, like, I want to raise good little Democrats, obedient little, not only Dude, those kids usually end up living at home until they're 35 because you didn't teach them any independent thought or how to be an individual or human being.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen. That did not happen.
Not you.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking in general. Like if you raise your kids according to the narrative, what's correct or popular? Someone to say popular. It's not correct. What's popular? Good little Democrats. Follow your heart, money will follow. Not only are you going to have essentially dependent parasites, who, by the literal definition, living at home or living off the government, or they're never going to strike out and become their own intelligent human beings, but they're going to be the most boring people. Like I look at most people's kids, my child's amazing. No, like literally he could die and nothing would happen. You have a boring journalism major who lives at home, has student debt, isn't getting married, isn't having kids, has no interesting hobbies, plays Fortnite. Like you literally created a robot that's running a program that is technically not alive. And you wrote, congratulations, you got a plant. Look at this plant I raised. It's 32 and lives at home, and I feed it chicken tendies and it's Mountain Dew. Yeah, good. That's great. That's wonderful. You pissed away your family. And so I mean, even I'd almost prefer teach my kid independent thought. And through some weird study, I'm a communist. Oh, are you really now? Well, let me take away your rent and free lodging and da-da-da. At least there be a discussion there. But most of these parents, look, you outsourced them to a factory. Yeah. And you got factory operating system installed on your children's computer. And now you're like, oh my God. And now I love seeing parents like lie. Oh, they're trying to find themselves. Oh, they have ADHD. Oh, this and that. Oh, this. Like, no, he had shitty parents. He had non-participatory parents. And so what kind of kid do you want? Do you want, like, if there was left, oh, we don't want them worrying about Andrew Tate. Well, what are you going to do when you're dead? Like, are you going to there to tell them what to think? Why don't you raise independent human beings with their own thoughts and intelligence, the capacity to like empirically reason, like critical thinking, but empirically go and do their own research? Won't that result in a better life for your child? And not to mention a more interesting person that you're going to enjoy having around? Because I can't imagine. Remember, do you guys see that video where the Spurgy kid like blows up at his family because they're picking on him at Thanksgiving in the basement? Do you remember that? And it's on video.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do you want that kid? Or do you want like, I went to the military and I got my degree and now I'm a part-time cop and I got little rugrats coming around. You got grandchildren and you all lie about whatever it is and whatever family tradition, like Festivus, if you celebrate that or something. Like, doesn't that sound better than you all watching CNN and like, ooh, those dastardly Republicans in the Senate, that like, ooh, I hope I get my student loan bail. Like that's just not even living.
No, I can tell you this: all my grandchildren are homeschooled. Out here on the West Coast, it's a big thing to homeschool.
I'd say, Thor, I used to be really against homeschooling, but now I get it. Like, I understand there's a different, I get it and I accept it for a different reason. Like, I used to be like, well, most parents aren't really cut out to actually be teachers or teachers to the effect that they have to like teach all these different subjects and everything. It wasn't so much like, oh, your kids will be antisocial or whatever. I was more concerned with the teachers who like the parents who would have to actually take on the teaching duties as well. But now I get it, especially in the way things are right now.
There's a lot of resources for that. Yeah. You can actually get a classical education if you exercise some of those resources for homeschooling. If you're,
I think so too. And I don't think it's so much a social thing. I think it's just like, the burden that is placed on parents to be like, most parents are not cut out to be like, mea culpa. I'm not cut out to be a calculus teacher to my daughter. So, and in that case, then you've got to start looking for tutors and everything. But I understand the need for that. My other caveat and all of that is, and this was sort of my I guess philosophy, for lack of a better term, with raising my daughter, is like, I don't want to raise her to be insulated. I want her to be able to go out into the world, and if something smells like bullshit, she has a capacity for critical thinking, and she'll call bullshit when she sees it. It's you can't put your kid in a plastic bubble. And I think if left to their own devices, if you farm raising children off to women, that's where they will put them. They will opt for security before they will opt for risk taking. They'll pretend and say, "Oh, go out there. You can be anything you want to, girl. You can be an astronaut. You OnlyFans or astronauts, right? Whatever it is." Yep. It's this, go out there. And I think, I'm pretty sure it was Rich Cooper who said this, is that, we teach our girls that they can to do what's right for them. And we teach boys to do the right thing.
Yes,
and there's a so difference between those two things. Again, you want to know why we have the re-education of, the boys, only the boys, by the way, for talking like Andrew Tate. It's because we want to put them back into the security box rather than the risk-taking box. And again, you have to really, my personal opinion is that, and this is an opinion, okay, is that boys are born as alpha as they are going to be. And then it takes this indoctrination from the time they're 5 until they're adults to sort of crush that out of them so they can be serviceable utilities in a society that is gynocentric. Meanwhile, we tell women, you can be anything. You could do anything you want to do. You can even be a police officer. You can even be a combat specialist. You could do anything you want to.
You can be a cop and ride all the police departments.
Yeah, for boys, we say you're poisoned by your testosterone. In this case, literally, James Cameron recently said this. You should loathe your own gender. You're whatever that means to you, but you should loathe being a boy. And if you're more like a girl, if you identify more with the feminine, you are more human. You're actually more of a human. You're inhuman because you're male. But if you can pretend and be conditioned and through behavior, like operant conditioning, whatever else it is, and you can act and think more like a girl, then you will be a more perfected, good human if you do those things. And again, things that fathers need to watch out for in their sons is this is the message that they are going to get when they are certainly in public school. This is why I'd say, Thor, I completely agree with homeschooling now, because that's the message your boys, especially your boys, but boys and girls are going to get in a public school that sees them as a commodity.
Yeah.
And the commodity, what they're supposed to do with those commodities is turn them into serviceable utilities for later in life.
Yeah. And when it comes to the socialization argument, which you don't agree with, but when it comes to the homeschooling, you're really to socialize the kids is not that hard. You teach them how to speak friends.
It used to be my disagreement. I completely get it.
Yeah. And you teach the girls, especially, how to make friends. And just as an example, my 32-year-old daughter, she went to college under tremendous pressure to go to career. All of her girlfriends, too, in her sorority. Here they all are in their 30s now and have 1 to 3 children and are married to well-off men that are a little bit older. So they didn't follow the mold, but they were under tremendous pressure. And the daughter had a conversation with her mother about the struggle before the children. I don't know if I want kids. Career's so important. And it came down to a really nice conversation between mother and daughter about, having children and the fulfillment over a lifetime. And
hey, Paul, can you put that up on the screen when you get a chance?
Yeah.
As of now,
no.
She's very happy. Yep.
I want to throw this out here really quick because I always try to find studies for stuff, because what's going to happen is people are going to see this and they go, oh, those red pill guys are trying to force fit their ideologies and their beliefs into like current events. Bullshit. This is factual, researched shit here. Okay. So the greatest intergenerational transmission of left to right ideology consists of parents who pass on their liberal orientation to their daughters. I'll put the link in the chat here in just a second. You don't have to read through this whole thing, but the study investigates the intergenerational transmission of ideological positions. So if you want that, I'll give it to you. There is data, researchable, studied data on exactly what I'm talking about, exactly what Aaron's talking about this whole episode.
That's awesome.
I'm kind of curious. What's Grandpa Thor like? I mean, what the little kids come around. I mean, that's got to be fun.
Oh, it is. They come over and they get to throw axes, or I hand them my NeoPixel lightsabers, and you've got these 3 and 5-year-old girls running around smashing everything and knocking stuff off the shelves with the lightsabers and just driving my children crazy.
You dress up as Santa because you got the beard and everything for it. Is that kind of not?
Not so much Santa. Bad Santa, maybe. I tease them pretty hard too. I'm gonna get them. Man. But they love it. They love it. They giggle. All of them.
Let's knock out some of these super chats. We have some piling up here. First one here is from Glenn. He sent another one. What they don't like about religion is because there are standards in religion people are expected to live up to. Wokeness is all about not living up to those standards.
Shout out, Glenn.
Yeah. And then Arx Hominum sent a couple of these. So latest research shows independence in children has gone down. Risk aversion has gone up. Helicopter parenting. And then also moms now boast with putting kids on adult regimens. Are you talking about like putting kids on like workout plans and stuff like that? I wonder.
I think he means like the Flintstone vitamins for soccer moms. And all that.
Okay. Arx also says half of unmarried new parents are busy building a new adult relationship at a time when their children may need them the most.
Yes, that's Rob Henderson. That's a Rob Henderson link too, by the way. Yeah.
And then Glenn again, Cappy, free-thinking people are dangerous to the Church of Wokies. If you are free-thinking, you could cause a revolution against their agenda. Can't have that.
Actually, I'm at the point where I actively cheer on the left. No, I do. I seriously because I'm looking at we got Generation Spinster coming up now in Gen X, and I'm like, oh, I remember you gals from 30 years ago. Oh, this is I had to have the Chinese build a bigger bucket of popcorn, bigger bucket to handle all the popcorn I'm going to eat, watching these people decide that their politics was more important than family, love, and life. So it's like, here we go. So I'm the butter is nice and melted and poured over. I'm just ready. The show's about to start.
Oh shit! The comments start already. This is great. I forget the name of this chick, but this was actually from I think it was a TEDx talk. I think it was a college talk. How to be a parent in 2017. Sorry, this is a little dated. Make sure your children's academic, emotional, psychological, mental, spiritual, physical, nutritional, and social needs are met while being careful not to overstimulate, understimulate, improperly medicate, helicopter, or neglect them in a screen-free, processed foods-free, GMO-free, negative energy-free, plastic-free, body-positive, socially conscious, egalitarian, but also authoritative, nurturing but fostering of independence, gentle but not overly permissive, pesticide-free, two-story, multilingual home, preferably in a cul-de-sac with a backyard and 1.5 siblings, spaced at least 2 years apart for proper development. Also, don't forget the coconut oil.
That's good.
Be a parent.
That reads like the Willy Wonka contract.
How to be a parent in literally every other generation before ours. Feed them sometimes.
Don't let them die.
Aaron Clary parenting method. Feed them sometimes.
Yeah.
Be back before the lights go out.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's true, man. Like you think about like how independent kids could be if you just I'm not saying Lord of the Flies shit, but I'm just saying,
Stranger Things, they got a bike. I think that's the happy medium.
That was a big distinction between my now ex-wife and I. When the kids were really little, she was that helicopter mom. She wouldn't even let them play in the front yard because she was afraid that someone was going to come by our cul-de-sac and snatch them up and stuff like that. And when we moved out here to Colorado and we split up, on my weeks, I would kick the kids out of the house in the summertime. I'm like, get on your bike, go out. Come back for lunchtime. I'll see you later.
You got to have scabs on your knees when you get back.
Yep. Right. Like, because that's how I was raised. Like, get out of the house, come back for food, then get the hell out again. Like, you're not spending all day playing video games.
That's just like
my ex-wife
almost.
Yeah, my ex-wife would get pissed at me. She's like, "You're just letting them like ride their bikes around town." I'm like, "Yeah, it's my week. I can do what I want." So.
Yep.
I was gonna say that's how
the field,
like. Get the hell out of here, ride your bike, don't come back till later. I'm like, that's what I tell my woman.
Wow. Get out of here, don't come back till sunset. That's the way it used to work, man. Back in my day, man. I was actually raised by a single father, if you can believe that. It was my brother and I. We would be out with the neighbor kids, and now, of course, this was like in the late 70s, early 80s, and literally we would go out and get into as much trouble as we could, and then we would listen for my dad. Like he had the loudest fucking whistle, and he would whistle for us, like that kind of thing, and we knew we're like Pavlov's dogs. I go, okay, gotta go. And then we'd run back wherever the hell we were in the neighborhood to get back, just like for whatever dinner he happened to bring home or made him. So my dad was actually a pretty good cook. But yeah, we would the shit that we got into back then, and the distances, I think it's the distances that gets me. The distances we would travel on foot, skateboard, or bicycle was like absolutely amazing to me. Now that I look at like how, like, look how the obesity rate of kids are today, and I'm like, damn, man, they don't roam. We need free range kids these days.
Yeah, probably
walking through the woods for like 3 hours, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We used to go. I used to live in Pasadena, California. We used to go to this place called Eaton Canyon. It was up in the Altadena area. And I mean, my brother almost got bit by a rattlesnake out there one time. And we would like hike in. It was summer. Like my dad had to go to work. So we were on our own. We were latchkey kids for like the entirety of the summer. We would go out there and get as much trouble as we possibly could.
Yep. Yeah, finding treasures and stuff. Oh, hell yeah. That was good stuff.
With Gen X, man. Aaron knows. Don't fuck with Gen X, man, because rattlesnake bites.
I wonder, let me ask you guys, because we'd have bikes and you had to bring a tire repair kit. You should know, because you were going to get a flat. Did you guys ever go to the next school district over? Like you make it to the next town on your bike, but you went through paths, like you didn't take a road. And all of a sudden, like, whoa.
Dude, my neighbors were like 3K away from my house.
Yeah.
Next school district.
I grew up on a mountain in Conifer. There was no next school district or towns. Like I lived on it. We would go hiking through the woods, cut through people's yards and stuff, go rock climbing, and
But for those in suburb, I guess, general environment, if you've grown up there, like that was like, whoa, we're in Grafton. How'd we end up here? And you didn't even necessarily know north south. You couldn't point to your house, but well, that's the trail we came. And so, like, legit, like old school medieval crusaders, like, well, we'll go back that path, and hopefully it'll end us up back home. But
orienteering,
orienteering. I was just about to say it's orient. I think one of the reasons I have such a good sense of direction right now is because I had to find my way back home.
Where the hell are we?
So, there was a time when I was visiting my grandparents in Grand Junction, Colorado. So that was like the only time I'd ever be in a suburb for a long amount of time. And my cousin and I decided we were going to ride our bike from one side of town to the other to go to my uncle's house. And I ended up getting lost all day. And I rode my bike all over that town until I finally figured out where I was. And I mean, I literally went from one side of Grand Junction to the other, which is, an entire city.
But I'll tell you this, I'm glad you women don't have us guys as men available to you now. I'm glad you got these boys who are allies and they're very sensitive and they list the pronouns on Twitter. I'm glad you got those pussies to date. I don't know where the real men went, but by God, you got some great men to choose from nowadays, girl. They know how to order chicken tendies on Uber Eats. Very romantic. Yeah.
Sister wives, I need a son.
Yeah, is that a plug for watching YouTube's on allyship? That's a big thing in corporate America right now. Allyship.
God, I just, man, you got some cuck, some putz with his MBA sitting at an office. Like that's your husband. There you go. Have fun with that.
Yeah, that's your.
We're getting pretty close to the hour and a half mark. You guys want to wrap this up and go around the horn?
Sure,
man.
Sure.
All right, let's start with John Fitch.
Go to johnfish.net, sign up for the newsletter. I got a show tomorrow night. There's fights today. We'll talk about the fights tomorrow night. I got my practical self-defense course I'm working on. The intro to practical self-defense is available and it's free, so you can get started with that. But I should have the other one ready here shortly.
All right. Nice. We'll go with RP Thor.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Come see me at becomedurable.com. That's my website. And then come and see me at 11 a.m. today on the Dragon Ship on RP Thor YouTube and the Dragon Ship YouTube channel. And see a bunch of guys chopping it up like this, a bit older, a bit dumber, but we're fun. We stir up the pot. So come see us on the Dragon Ship. You guys are always welcome as well.
All right, Cappy.
I don't want to promote it. If I'm going to promote something, it'll be achieving financial excellence on Teachable. But more importantly, I just want to brag. I've had the best old man week ever.
With TJ?
No, well, he's here. Yeah. Thanks for not visiting us, by the way. We really appreciate the camaraderie. It's really great you hung out. That was great, man.
Podcast in Vegas, my friend.
But best old man week ever. I think I'm passing some kidney stones because I'm pissing fire. I got my taxes done just to piss off Rhinestone, and I bought I bought a really expensive wheat penny. I got a 1909 VDB wheat penny. It's the one I didn't have in my collection. So I'm gonna write a book on how to be an old man. And I'm very excited about my.
Do you tie onions to your belt?
Boy, it's coming up. That's the next step. That's all I got.
All right, Rolo.
Oh, well, I don't tie onions to my belt. Yeah. Speaking of which, we invited you to the best, probably the best episode.
I had a host, TJ. You were doing your thing.
He was too hammered. I got it. No, it's all right. No, we did. I put a link in the chat here. We did Access Vegas just on Friday. Thursday night. And we had Sterling Cooper on. If you haven't seen it, it's actually well worth the rewatch if you want to check it out. It was fun. We actually had we had 5 girls and me and Mike and Sterling, so we had 8 people, and this is like the most we've had. I think we've reached maximum capacity. We can't put any more on there than that, but it was a lot of fun. We probably could have kept going for more, but it was really great. It was the show that I wanted to have the week prior, but we thought we were going to be able to drag all these girls away from the AVN Awards. And the AVN Awards are the Adult Video Expo, basically the porn awards kind of thing. And porn girls are unreliable. Who would have known that, right? So we did the makeup show on Thursday, so do check that out. And again, like I said, it's comedy gold too, so it's very entertaining, and you'll certainly be you'll be laughing most of the way through, I think. The other part, I'll be on my show tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to do kind of like a potpourri kind of show. I'm going to definitely be talking about the Tates. I've got some new info, and again, I am Tate agnostic right now, so I'm trying to stay as balanced as I possibly can. So I'm not necessarily for or against. I'm just going to give you I just work here, man. I'm just going to report the news and what I know and connect some dots for you and give people something to think about. I do have a copy of the quote unquote leaked Vice video, the documentary that they were supposed to put out on Wednesday, and then they pulled. I have it. Now, whether or not I'm going to post it and put it up there and get demonetized, I don't know, but I do have it, and I'll be using info from that. So I've got shit that nobody else got. So I'll be talking about that. I'm also going to talk a little bit about divorce because I've been seeing a lot of this coming up, and I'm going to get to the Passport Bros part today. So that's why I said it's probably a 3-part show: Passport Bros, divorce, and definitely the Tates. So that'll be tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern.
All right, and Mr. Ryan Stone.
Dude, I got a book. It's good. Just read it. It's
awesome. Yeah, it is.
Everybody's getting it. It's nice. Yeah. It's easy to read. It doesn't take you for granted. And it's the best thing you're going to see, to, as Rolo put it, a great forward I have, by the way. Thank you very much.
Who wrote that?
Something that'll dispel all the bullshit you've been hearing from White Claw Power Hour. And Tater taught his army of whammy beaters or whatever they do now. I don't know.
White Claw Power Hour.
Other than that, just leave me alone. I want a break. I'm tired of working.
When's the video or audio come out, Ryan?
March. I'm recording it now. About a third of the way through the recording. I got a little more to do though.
Cool. I'll read it then.
Just that big old praxeology and the cover of that is just enough to trigger so many people.
It looks like a good academic book. Yeah. Like it looks like a good. It does. Looks like a.
It was number 1 in gender studies textbooks for like a good solid week.
That's right. Isn't that where Clary was number 1? Did you beat out Clary?
Well, I mean, I don't like to tell him I'm better than him, but yeah, it's not wrong.
Okay, let me explain to you. Hold on. Let me explain to you all the trick, okay? Because I'm the one that pioneered this. All right, feminist authors are shit, and they write their shit books, and they get shit sales. So it doesn't take that much to be number 1 in feminist theory, whatever the category is.
Does it take a lot to be number 2, Clary?
No, it does.
Oh, that's
Speaking of
good,
number
that's
2, Ben just got here.
Congratulations, man.
Anyway, over a year ago, you'll have this initial bump in sales. You'll be put number 1 in feminist theory because all feminist authors suck. And you could totally, once again, men are better at women than even being women. And you had another category. And so if you have any significant following like Ryan does, you will become a best-selling feminist author. I think every guy, no matter what they're writing, should categorize the book as feminist theory. Then we can all be best-selling feminist authors, and then you can put that on your resume and say, "Shut the fuck up, I'm an ally." Are you a best-selling feminist author? You're not. Shut the fuck up, you're misogynist. And there you have it. The song like Rob.
Aaron,
That's just said congratulations, dude.
That's Aaron's version of sneaky fucker game.
Speaking of sneaky fuckers, Paul showed up just to plug his shit. Hey, plug your shit.
I just came
man.
in to say what's up. I'm here for the education program.
I can smell you from here. You look like you smell. Holy cow. Look at that.
Did you
like
just
orgy?
roll out of bed, man?
Yeah, look at that.
An orgy of women, maybe. I'm not saying anything. Not disclosing anything on the internet.
Dusting off chest hairs from your pajamas.
You might want to dial back
Hopefully
the trend.
my chest hairs.
We're wrapping up, Paul. Since you showed up so late, you want to plug something?
No, I just came in to say hi. I just go to my channels, apexmindset.net and Apex Inner Game. That's it.
All right, there we go. Yeah. Slides it at the end. Promote the channel.
That's right. Better late than never.
Marketing 101. All right. All right. You can find me right here on YouTube. My weekly podcast is also available on all major podcast platforms. Monday's episode is with a guy who went through an ordeal where his now ex-girlfriend falsely accused him of domestic violence and had him locked up in jail. So it's some serious Jerry Springer shit. You'll love it. Also, check out my crack-free Law of Attraction course. The link is in the description. And then the last time I checked, the coupon code in the description only has 13 uses left. So get on that.
Tell these bitches to go to hell.
I love that.
That's like the best drop.
I think it's the best.
We need Big Mo in on Saturday mornings. I got to get Big.
All right. I think that's all we have, guys. So
See you guys
see
later.
you next time.
Peace.
Hasta la vista.